Alright, so today what I want to do is take a look at the current state of the survival genre in 2026. We got quite a few really great games getting big updates this year, along with a few leaving early access into their 1.0 official full release. Let's check it all out. Enshrouded has been near the top of my personal list ever since its initial early access release. Just a fantastic experience of exploration and adventure on top of the base survival genre foundation. Well, back in April, they released Update 8, titled Forging the Path. This came with big combat updates. Melee weapons got heavy attacks added. There are a lot more attack combos that are unique per the weapons, and they even added stealth takedowns as well. Combat's in the process of getting an overhaul across the board. They really started with this update focused on a melee in particular. The skill tree got a total rework. There's a lot more customization and build options now, along with a ton of brand new skill nodes, and they finally put jumping in the center where it belongs. Double jumping should just be for everybody as far as I'm concerned, but if they want to make us spend skill points, fine. All gear in the game can now be upgraded as well, coming with its own unique stat perks, similar to how weapons have worked prior. Adventure sharing now will allow you to share your world with other people. They can hop in, explore your base, dungeons you've made, puzzles, etc. And they've updated the starting experience with some new fresh areas and improvements introducing the game's various systems. So again, that came out back in April, and for 2026, sometime this autumn, in fact, they're planning the full 1.0 release. So Enshrouded will finally be leaving early access. Now, according to their Road to Release blog post a few months ago, this 1.0 version is aiming to include additional combat improvements aimed at increasing the game's tactical depth, smarter enemy behavior, better balancing, and just increased enemy variety. A whole bunch of new content. There will be some new locations, new enemies, and brand new challenges to take on. We'll be getting the next iteration of adventure sharing, another optimization pass, although the game already runs great. The last time I played, it was smooth as butter. And the 1.0 launch will also be coinciding with the game's console release as well. And again, this is all fantastic news. Enshrouded is one of my favorite survival games of all time, so I'm really looking forward to 1.0. Gonna be another opportunity for a fresh start once again. All right, next up, we have a quick word from today's sponsor, but before you tune out, also happens to be a game that would have been on this video list regardless. Today's video is sponsored by Funcom for their game Dune Awakening, one of my personal favorite survival titles in recent years. I played the heck out of this during the beta testing, and its initial release was an absolute blast for like a solid 150 hours. Well, they've announced some pretty big news recently with new updates coming to the game this September, which includes the conclusion of the narrative campaign of Book 1 of Dune Awakening. There's going to be a new single player mode where you can play through the entire game without any other players, all by yourself, and tons of difficulty scaling and customization options, which will let you adjust the experience in a myriad of ways, whether you are playing solo or on private or self-hosted servers. And all of this is added to the many updates the game has received since it launched last year, including new map locations, new weapons and gear, new endgame progression systems, quality of life and other improvements. Taxes got removed, there's no more base or vehicle loss to worry about, and even on official servers, PvP is now entirely optional. And finally, Dune Awakening will be at last coming to consoles for those of you who have been waiting, available on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. All of this, the new updates as well as the console release, will be happening on September 22nd. To learn more and pre-order, you can check out the links in the description below. Yeah, I mean, I have not been shy about my love for Dune Awakening. Those first 150 hours were just an absolute blast, and there's some big stuff coming to the game later this year, as mentioned in that sponsored segment. But genuinely, I love the game, and I am looking forward to jumping back in once again. I'm really probably waiting until we get that next massive update where they add a new map akin to the size and scope of Haga Basin. Once that comes in, 100% going to do a fresh playthrough again, because they've already added a bunch of stuff since release and later this year. So when we also get that huge new playable space, it's going to be time to enter the dunes of Arrakis once more. I seriously can't wait. Again, this would have been on the list regardless of the sponsor segment. So if you've been watching my channel, you know I really like Dune. It's been a few years since I sat down and enjoyed the world of Valheim, but 2026 is looking like it'll be the time to jump back in, as it is finally getting its 1.0 update this year. It took them 5.5 years. We're nearly there, and I'm pumped, dude. So titled The Deep North, the 1.0 update has a bunch of new additions planned for the game. As the name implies, there is a whole new region, the Deep North, with raging storms, lakes of ice, and landscape blanketed in snow. Inside of this region, we're going to encounter a variety of new things, new enemies like these massive ancient trolls, tree folk, and the eyeless ones that burrow underground. Bunch of new points of interest, various abandoned villages, castles, and new dungeon types, including these underground tunnel systems. Plenty of new mysteries for the community to uncover, brand new resources and loot to find, and they're adding a grappling hook to the game. Yes, a grapple hook, it's coming. So Valheim will be entering 1.0 alongside this Deep North update on September 9th. I'm also really excited because I have actually not played the game since its first early access release, and there have been several large updates in the span of these 5.5 years that I will be experiencing for the first time. So should be a lot of fun. Can't wait, dude. Grounded 2 has been trucking along with regular updates since its early access release last year. Back in April, they launched the Beat the Heat update, which added the Sinkhole Anthill biome, new enemies and bosses, including this fire lizard, new buggy evolutions for better traversal options, along with combat updates and more deep survival systems. And then later this year, they plan to release their water base update titled The Abyss. This will include multiple new biomes, the pond, mountain, and bayou, updated swimming, zip lines, and the upgrade system, new water creatures, including the Colossus koi fish. There will be craftable swimming gear, new weapons and armor, and water-themed bases. Into the Abyss will be releasing on August 11th. Also on that date, the game will now be available on PlayStation 5. Grounded 2 was a lot of fun, albeit still needing a bit of work when I played the game last year. Keen to see how it's all looking now after these updates. All right, RuneScape Dragonwilds. This is an interesting one. So I never made a video about it, but I did actually play the game when it came to early access last year, and I actually thought it was well made with a lot of interesting systems, but it was incredibly short. Like, I wrapped up my initial the playthrough of all of the content that was available in about 13 hours. I had maxed out my gear, I had beat the final boss, and there really wasn't anything left for me to do at like the 13 to 15 hour mark, which when stacked up against other games in the survival genre, kind of feels like a tutorial, seriously. Well, from what I've seen, they have had quite a few updates since I played last, so I'm hoping the game is much more substantial now, and it seems to be. In fact, this year in particular, they have been especially active with new updates coming pretty much every single month. So the last major update, Dowdon Reach, came in March, and this added a brand new region, a new mithril crafting tier, a rework of the game's rune crafting system, skill caps got raised to level 99, and they added dedicated servers as well. And then this week, on June 23rd, we're getting the Umbral Sands update, which adds the new desert-themed region, another additional tier of crafting, new magic carpets as a vehicle, and then the Nightmare Crucible. Also, on top of that, the game is actually going to be leaving early access and entering 1.0 this September, alongside with the Scorned Wilderness update. Now, specifics haven't been announced as to what we'll be getting from that update. Expect a bunch more new stuff, new regions maybe, new enemies, new loot, maybe a new crafting tier, whatever, with that 1.0 launch and the console release. So yeah, fingers crossed here, because I actually did like a fair bit about Dragonwilds. I was just disappointed at how incredibly small of a game it was, especially for a survival game. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out with the 1.0 release. As you might recall, Windrose landed with a splash last April with quite a successful early access release. They did very well, and I had a blast during my time with the game, and looking forward to playing more again in the future. Now, as of today, we are actually still awaiting an official roadmap in terms of what we should be expecting this year and into 2027. That roadmap is apparently coming sometime soon. By the end of this month was the last thing that I read. Now, we do know that they've got a fourth biome planned, the Ashlands, that's already in development. It was actually visible in the game zone progression UI and listed as coming soon when we played it on early access. So we're going to get a fourth biome with that, probably all of the expected inclusions, new unique points of interest, enemy types, bosses, resources, and loot, of course. Also, on like personal wish list things, I'm hoping we see continued improvements and additions to combat, both ground combat and ship combat. I would love to see more ship mechanics, like building floating bases, actually being able to construct crafting stations and storage on our, I know the ships come with storage, but like make our own, but just let us do our own thing on the ships. That would be cool. And just also more stuff to do on the ship. Like, why can't I ring the bell? Let me ring the bell on the ship to tell all my crewmates that were doing something. I don't know. More customization, some additional quality of life, and also still kind of hoping that they maybe eventually consider adding official PvP servers, because if you don't know, originally Windrose was supposed to be kind of MMO-y instead of just like, you know, just a regular survival game where you invite X number of people to your server. It was actually supposed to be like open world and have PvP. So maybe they could do like PvP supported servers or something. That would be cool. I don't know. Just worth that's an idea. It's throwing out an idea. But yeah, I had a really fun initial romp, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else they've got cooking here. So we'll see. And then, of course, we just had the early access release of Subnautica 2 the other month. They got a few updates planned coming this year. Currently, they're really focused on the first major update, 1.1, which is focused mainly on quality of life, with improvements to biomod systems, blight encounters, wreck gameplay, vehicle docking, fabrication, and PDS databank. Also, they've got the additions of a passive biomod slot, storage cache, and sprinting. Now, following early access 1.1, they do have a co-op centric update with 1.2 planned, and then some major expansions planned for the future. Well, they'll be adding new regions, biomes, creatures, resources, tools, vehicles, and the next story chapter. Now, I have not yet dove into this one, but I would like to check it out if I get the time in the coming months. Also, I want to say here, I am kind of hoping we get an early access release for Legend of California this year. This game looks incredibly promising, from Jeff Kaplan's new studio, Kitsugiyama. Open world action survival shooter set on the mythical island of California during the Gold Rush era. All of the gameplay footage I've seen looks really cool. Good vibe. I like kind of just the feel of the game. Something between the lighting and the coloring and the overall aesthetic. Just kind of got a cozy vibe, cozy Western survival game with some mystical stuff thrown in there as well. It could be really cool. I'm really hopeful here. And, you know, big fan of Jeff and his prior work, you know, that being like the World of Warcraft that he worked on, or maybe Overwatch if you heard it. He also was working on Project Titan, but we never got to see what that was going to be, because Blizzard will never make another MMO ever again. It pains me to say that, but I'm actually convinced at this point. Oh, and I do want to give a shout out to State of Decay 3. I'm extremely excited for this one. Although it is 100% not launching in 2026, I'm looking forward to playing it in 2027. I actually recently hopped in to play State of Decay 2, having a blast. I loved the first game, never really got around to 2, but played it last week and really, really liking it. I don't know, I feel like it's time for more zombie survival games. Am I crazy? I know there was a lot of fatigue about zombie games for a while, but I feel like I could do with some new, more good, updated zombie survival games. So yeah, dude, I can't wait for State of Decay 3. On a similar note, Light No Fire, not coming out this year, I'm sure, but fingers crossed that Hello Games' fantasy massive open world spin, expanding upon the lessons that they've learned with No Man's Sky, turns out to be a banger, could be a tremendous hit. Lots of potential here, and I've got a lot of hope. Now, obviously, we also have a lot of the long-time genre favorites that are still ongoing, great options to play. I'm talking about games like V Rising, State of Decay 1 and 2, 7 Days to Die, the original Subnautica, The Forest, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of survival games, but really I wanted this video to focus on the games that are getting big changes, progressing out of early access, big updates. You'll see what I wanted to focus on here. So yeah, that about does it for our state of the survival game genre in 2026. Hope you guys enjoyed the vids. I guess there's one notable game that I have not mentioned here, and I have never covered on the channel. It's that top-down zombie game, Project Zomboid. Everyone always talks about that, and I've watched YouTube videos about it, and I think it looks interesting, but I never dove in. So maybe 2026 is the year that I check out Project Zomboid. It might be a good idea. That's all for today. Thanks as always for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.